Hey, I'm Marie, back with another video. It's like 10:14 in the morning on Saturday. So I'm just kind of kicking back and trying to get my head straight. I was debating whether or not I should go get groceries today, and then I kept thinking, well, I'll just hang on a few days. So I guess, I got got ready for nothing because I'm not going anywhere. But anyway, that's fine. Anyway, so I was thinking, my brain has been winding down from all of this. It's still like, believe me, it's still wound up, and there's nights where I'm just like, I don't, I can't really rest. Not so much. It's a lot of it has to do, of course, with the fact that I'm not working, but a lot of it has to do with just like my eyes being opened up on a completely different level on so many different things that I keep saying my mind's blown, or I'm just like, blown away, or I don't even know how else to explain it. I mean, this shit to me is so weird that I can't. Wow, that's really all I can say. I'm trying really hard to move on from it, because it was just a little too strange for me. And that's the best thing for me, and to talk more in general terms of it, I'm not going to, continually mention and throw out names in my further videos. But I will say that, when I do talk about the topics of gang stalking and, community harassment and domestic issues, I'm going to be more general about it. Like, there's no reason for me to bring up specific names or issues, people like that anymore. But I will say that, because I feel as though this is something that really needs to be talked about. I really do see the importance of it. And, I'm not interested in having any hostilities with Joel's family. I just want a clean severance. Just leave me alone. Don't bother me. Don't fucking think that you have anything to say, and I do believe that you probably are somewhat, on some level, remorseful. Well, I will say this. It's understandable to get weird news that, maybe a person's not what you thought they were or whatever. But you got to see it from my point, too. I was under the impression that you guys were like, this all-American family, which doesn't exist, by the way, which everybody knows. I mean, people like to be perfect, but we're not, you know what I mean? But still, it's just kind of like, people have their mask. And at one time, I kind of wore one, I've always been kind of weird like that. Like, when I was younger, I used to call people up on the phone and pretend I was somebody else, or I used to ding-dong ditch or something. And it's funny because when I think of the topic of gang stalking, it's so similar to that sort of deviant behavior, when you're a kid, and but it's like, it becomes widespread, and then a parent will say, hey, don't sit here and like, well, you can't make crank calls nowadays. Or prank calls. I always forget. I get them mixed up. I've heard of them referred to the same way, crank and prank calls. But when I think about how it becomes so widespread, that that's when it becomes dangerous. And this is my point. You know what I mean? Some people just think it's just people congregating together and whatever. And yeah, you can discuss people's issues, but the very fact that I was eliminated from the whole cycle of it, like, for example, am I not supposed to know that Polly's in communication with so-and-so and all this other shit? That's conspiring against people on a level. And see, the problem with it is that people don't understand the definition of certain things, or they don't understand how certain things play into a certain scenario. You know what I mean? Like, you might have a complete misconception of what one thing is, but the actual definition of it is exactly the same thing. Like, one of the things that Americans tend to look down upon are countries that oppress women. They don't like They don't like, people preventing other people from having their freedom. That's one of the reasons why they bash other countries all the time. You know what I mean? They look down on that. But yet, the everyday average American citizen, for some bizarre reason, regardless of what this country's foundation was based on, people deviate from it because they want to do their own thing. And their own thing is an attempt to try to subjugate somebody else, which is the very thing that they hate about other countries, which is strange to me. You know what I mean? And so I do understand that we live in a world that's filled with contradictory thoughts that exist in just about everybody. And I'll tell you, it's quite scary. You know what I mean? It's very scary. Because all of you people seem to think that you're, one thing, that you guys are doing a great job serving God. I'm not saying that your heart's not in the right place, okay? But if you're joining and affiliating with certain people to affect further life or trying to enforce something, then it's wrong. It's wrong. It's a crime. It's a huge crime. You know what I mean? There's gang stalking laws that have been on the books since apparently even longer than what I even thought. There was an article that I liked on Facebook, and it was basically talking about the federal. It wasn't under. Now we call it gang stalking, but under back in 1946, it was called something else. Okay, but still, it is the same thing. Okay, and it basically, blacklisting people, creating like street theater, conspiring, creating certain scenarios, this sort of stuff, and it's punishable by law. And but they don't think of it that way. It's all based on what you're able to understand. And see, the thing is that, I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm better than everybody else, okay? Because obviously when someone like myself exists among other people who aren't as, mentally swift, I guess, it becomes extremely frustrating. Because what they think is normal is fucking destroying your goddamn life. Because they don't know any better. And apparently law enforcement doesn't know any better, and all these other people don't know. And it's like, I realize every day that I live in an ignorant world. I live in an ignorant world. Okay? Where people's professions are basically given to them without them really earning it. I see certain things that other people just think is normal, and I'm very, very unhappy with what I see on the outside of the world. I can't take it. It's disgusting to me. You know what I mean? And I try to be very, careful and quiet about who I am. Like, I don't force my shit on other people. I don't. You know what I mean? I believe that every person sees the world from their own perspective based on what they were, the environment that they were on, the people who raised them. There's a lot that goes into each and every individual. Just like, you might take two kids. One went to Harvard. One had a life where they were just given everything on a silver platter, and then you might have this other person on the other side of the spectrum. You know what I mean? Completely different. They might have, their father did manual labor. They struggled and they had hard time making ends meet, so and so and so and so. And yet, these two people are going to see life in a completely different way. I bet you the rich dude's probably thinking, hey, life is fair, everything's going great, but not when you're stepping on the person who doesn't have stuff. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, we live in an ignorant society, and I'm very well aware of that. So that's one of the reasons why I do seem kind of guarded. Because, like I said, what people don't know can fuck your shit up big time. So anyway, I was also thinking today about, the root of all this, who can all be involved, and how huge this whole thing has been for a very long time, which I'm feeling the after effects of. And all of this could have been handled with a simple phone call, or me going over to my family's house and saying, you know what, we're putting an end to this bullshit. You need to tell Joel that blah, blah, blah. If it was that big of a deal, okay? But the whole thing is, it's not that big of a deal. Not really, okay? Considering consider the source, okay? But and then also considering the other people contributing who are associated around it. First of all, this shit could have been handled like at a turkey dinner at Thanksgiving or something. You know what I mean? But it wasn't. It was a social activity. That people who have idle time on their hands want to get together with a bunch of people and create bullshit. You know what I mean? This wasn't about nipping it in the bud and taking care of business and moving on with your life. It was about bullshit. And what you think is justifiable and you try to take it out in the employment sector, you're breaking the law. Okay? I understand these things. I've always have an interest and passion for the intricate laws that relate to business and other laws as well. I would say I know more about business law than I do about a bunch of other laws, but I do have an understanding of certain things that I took specific time out and kind of read up on the subject, little individual pieces. You know what I mean? But it's funny to me how people just ignore things. You know what I mean? But anyway, I was thinking today about Stephen Wilde. It was very hard for me not to think about him. Because I don't know, this song came on the radio, and I was thinking, okay, this is so funny. This is so funny. I remember being a teenager and just kind of not. I wasn't participating in gang stalking activity, but it's under what the law would require a form of stalking. Okay, and I didn't realize I didn't look at it as stalking. I just looked at it as this guy I can't seem to leave alone. He's too cute. I have to somehow spy on him, and being around him anywhere that close to him, I felt like I was going to shatter. I mean, I was just like, oh God. Oh my God, yeah, those were some funny times, And I used to call his house and hang up the phone, or at least I'd get the opportunity to talk to his mom, which was cool because it was cool because that was his mom. That was the woman who gave birth to him. I mean everything about Steve Wilde was this big deal. Everything, every single damn thing, I remember there were times after dinner, on Saturdays, because it would still be early sometimes, and so my parents used to water their yard sometime in the evening, and if there was a problem with a hose or what do you call it, a little spout or something, Now I would say that Target was always in closer proximity than Kmart, okay, but I would insist, we got to go to Kmart. We got to go to Kmart, Yeah. And I actually enjoyed that time in my life because, I would say that, as a teenage girl, I was actually sharing that with my dad. He knew that I liked that boy, Stephen, and then we would talk about it, you know what I mean? We would actually have little conversations about it, which was kind of funny because, I was always really embarrassed about, telling people that I liked somebody or whatever. And I was always one of those people who cared a lot about what my dad thought. You know what I mean? I never really liked acting stupid. I always acted stupid. I always liked telling my dumb jokes. I always liked, being really goofy, but I didn't ever like to be vulnerable in the presence of my father. Ever. Ever. You know what I mean? But he would, try to encourage me to go and talk to Steve and everything. I was just too embarrassed to do any of it. I was just too embarrassed. I would just I just remember one time having a close encounter with him, and I remember it was at an arcade, at the fairgrounds. It was a little arcade type thing, and I don't know what I was doing, but I was roaming around, and he actually walked up to me and he said, one word, and that I just had to walk away. I had to walk away. That was too weird. And I'm not like that with people. I'm not. I don't know. I'm the kind of person I could be a total goof. I could be weird. I could could just like be completely obnoxious, whatever I feel like is appropriate at the time dealing with whatever social situation, okay? But something about encountering him just shut my shit down. Like, I really, like, I was just in awe of him, you know. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I still like him. I'm going to wrap up this video, and I will be back with another one later. Bye.